The snow fell heavy on Howard Beach that December night in 1985. Inside a Manhattan steakhouse, Paul Castellano sat in a booth, unaware that his empire was about to crumble. Outside, 4 men in identical trench coats and fur hats waited. When Castellano stepped onto the sidewalk, 6 shots shattered the winter silence. The boss of the Gambino family collapsed on the concrete. Across town, John Gotti sat in a car, listening to a police scanner. When the confirmation came through, he smiled. The throne was his. John Joseph Gotti Jr. was born in the Bronx in 1940, the 5th of 13 children. His father was a day laborer who could barely feed his family. They moved constantly, always one step ahead of eviction. By 12, Gotti was running errands for the Fulton Rockaway Boys, a street gang connected to the mob. He learned early that loyalty and violence were currencies more valuable than money. At 14, he tried to steal a cement mixer and crushed his toes beneath it. The injury left him with a permanent limp, but it also left him with something else, a reputation for daring. By his 20s, Gotti was a made man in the Gambino family. He ran hijacking operations at JFK Airport, stealing millions in cargo. His crew was efficient and ruthless. If someone talked, they disappeared. If someone stole, they paid in blood. Gotti dressed in expensive suits and drove luxury cars. He wasn't hiding, he wanted to be seen. While other mobsters stayed in the shadows, Gotti walked into restaurants like a movie star. The FBI watched him. The media loved him. He became known as the Dapper Don. But ambition has a price. In 1980, Gotti's 12-year-old son was struck and killed by a neighbor driving a car. 4 months later, that neighbor vanished. No body was ever found. Gotti never spoke about it. He didn't have to. Everyone understood. The message was clear. No one touches his family. By the mid-80s, Gotti grew frustrated with his boss, Paul Castellano. Big Paul was old school. He forbade drug dealing, kept a low profile, and ran the family like a corporation. Gotti saw him as weak. Other captains agreed. Castellano was out of touch. The family needed new leadership. Gotti began planning. He gathered loyalists. He studied Castellano's routines. And on that December night, he struck. The murder was bold, brazen, unprecedented. Killing a boss in public violated every rule of the old code. But Gotti didn't care about the old code. He took control of the Gambino family and restructured it in his image. He held court at the Ravenite Social Club in Little Italy. Tourists and locals would gather outside just to catch a glimpse of him. News cameras followed his every move. He beat 3 major criminal trials in 6 years. The press dubbed him the Teflon Don. Nothing stuck. Gotti believed he was untouchable. He threw lavish 4th of July parties in his neighborhood, shutting down entire streets. Fireworks, free food, thousands of people. He was a celebrity, a folk hero. The FBI hated him for it. They had arrested him multiple times, but juries refused to convict. Witnesses recanted. Evidence disappeared. Gotti seemed invincible, but the FBI was patient. They planted bugs in the Ravenite. For months, they listened. Gotti talked freely, arrogantly. He insulted his own men. He bragged about murders. He discussed illegal operations in explicit detail. He never imagined those walls had ears. By 1990, the FBI had enough. They arrested Gotti and his underboss, Salvatore Gravano, known as Sammy the Bull. Gotti made a fatal mistake. He had insulted Gravano on those tapes, calling him greedy and stupid. When Gravano heard the recordings, something inside him broke. The FBI offered him a deal, testify against Gotti, and he'd get a reduced sentence. Gravano agreed. The Bull became a rat. The trial began in 1992. Gravano took the stand and dismantled Gotti piece by piece. He described 19 murders in cold, clinical detail. He explained how the family operated. He confirmed that Gotti had ordered the Castellano hit. The jury listened in silence. Gotti sat stone-faced, but his empire was crumbling. On April 2nd, 1992, the verdict came. Guilty on all counts. Murder, racketeering, conspiracy. The Teflon was gone. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without parole. Gotti was sent to the federal supermax in Marion, Illinois. He spent 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. No more suits, no more cameras, no more crowds, just a cell. He developed throat cancer, likely from years of smoking. The disease spread. Prison doctors treated him, but it was too late. On June 10, 2002, John Gotti died in a prison hospital. He was 61 years old. His funeral drew hundreds: old mobsters, curious onlookers, FBI agents taking notes. The dapper Don was gone, but the legend remained. Some saw him as a Robin Hood figure who stood up to the system. Others saw him as a violent criminal who destroyed lives. The truth was somewhere in between. Gotti had power, charisma, and ruthlessness. But he also had an ego that consumed him. He wanted to be famous, and fame destroyed him. The mob had survived for decades by staying invisible. Gotti made himself a spectacle, and spectacles always end. Today, the Gambino family still exists, but it operates in the shadows once more. The Ravenite Social Club is closed. Howard Beach remembers him quietly, and the recordings of his voice, arrogant and unguarded, remain locked in FBI archives. A reminder that even kings fall, especially the ones who forget they're mortal.